Rogue Cell is here in Bend, Oregon, and Brad doesn't really have a microphone, but Brad, you want to say something? Hi.
Hey, welcome to Bend.
We are here with Save the Brave. A couple months ago, we interviewed Javi Romo for a Veterans Getaway he was going to do, and boom, we're doing it. And it's been a lot of fun. And a big part of the Veterans Getaway that I wanted to talk about, because I'm a writer, is the writing part. Help working with veterans to write through pretty much anything, but sometimes it helps. It's like, I think writing is kind of a cathartic thing. Combat veterans or just anybody. I mean,
I can attest to that. I mean, writing's been a big part of my recovery, and I'm just getting started.
And you wrote your whole book, huh? A whole book about it. So.
Fourth draft.
Well, I read up to the third chapter.
Yeah, thank you.
But so we have Javi. We have a lot of different and amazing veterans groups, but we also have the Writing Groups Initiative, and that's out of, well, it's all over the place. And with us, we have Colleen Worthman.
Yep. Hello.
Fred Graver.
Hello.
And David Tucker II.
Hello.
And I was going to talk, hey, Fred, can you give us just a background on what WGI is and what it does?
Yeah, I'll give you a short summary. Like a lot of great things, this started out almost with a little bit of an accident. In 2007, some accountants at the Writers Guild discovered that a screenwriter named Helen Deutsch, who had an enormous amount of success in the 40s, 50s, and the 60s, she had written the adaptation of National Velvet, which is a film many, many people know. Rebecca, her last film, which both Colleen and I agree makes her super cool. She wrote Valley of the Dolls in 1967. And she left a chunk of money. And the accountant in 2007 discovered the chunk of money. And the board of the Writers Guild called a man named Tom Fontana, who had been on the board of the Guild. And they said, gee, Tom, we're going to apply this money and we're going to put it into something called the Writers Guild Foundation. And we'd like you to head it. And Tom goes, great, terrific. What does it do? And they said, well, you tell us. So Tom assembled a group of smart and funny, by his own description, smart and funny writers. And they got together in 2008 to kind of try and figure out what can we do with this money? How can we do some good with it? And they had two quick decisions kind of that they made. One, that whatever we did, it was not going to be about us, right? We weren't going to give each other awards. We weren't going to have awards dinners or anything like that.
Which is very unique in the whole entertainment industry.
Yeah.
We're not going to give ourselves awards.
And what we would offer to people is this insight that we as writers know, which is writing is an amazing way to get to know yourself and get to know what's going on inside of you. And we would take the tools that we knew about how to tell your story, and we would bring them to people. The first group that they hosted was in 2008. They found a group of National Guardsmen in Columbus, Ohio. And David was actually at that. The one story that I know was they contacted the group. They all flew out to Columbus, and as I believe former president of Writers Guild, which is now called the Writers Guild Initiative, said, we were on one side of the room, they were on the other side of the room. It was like some bad high school dance, and they looked at us and we looked at them and we both said, we didn't think you'd show. Right. But they began doing.
We started working with this one unit that had actually taken a significant number of casualties over in Iraq. And so we started, it was at the James Thurber House, and that's where we were located. And so this was the first time we'd ever done it. And so what we essentially did was we did a 2-day workshop, and we just basically wanted to talk to these soldiers about just creative writing, and they could choose whatever topic they wanted to write about. We didn't want to say it had to be about military oriented topics. One of the reasons that I was brought on board was because my background is writing, but also being a military veteran. So there were about 3 of us that were military veterans that were in the initial group. Ryan Kelly was another individual, and we were just there to kind of help also a little bit bridge that gap of,
What year was this?
This is 2008.
All right. And that kind of segues into my next thing. I know I want to talk more about writing and how it helps veterans. But right now, I just want you guys to introduce yourselves a little bit, where you're coming from, where did you travel from? What do you do professionally? And then how long have you worked with veterans? And then I don't want to say, like, we talk about this every time we do a podcast. Like, I was traumatized from the war and everything. But when I got back, and it took me way too long to realize this, but combat veterans don't own trauma. It happens to everyone. So what other people did you talk to? Now, that's probably a pretty long thing, but I'll remind you if you forget. So, Colleen, you want to go first?
Sure. So I'm Colleen Worthman, and I started my career as a theater actor, mostly doing theaters, a little bit of film and TV. And then I started writing professionally in like 2006. I got my first paid TV writing gig in like 2010. I wrote for the Oscars as a joke writer.
Oh, wow.
And then my first full-time gig in late night TV, where I worked for a bunch of years, was on The Nightly Show with Larry Wilmore. And after that, I worked on The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. And in between, I did lots of things.
So we were talking a little bit before while we were setting up. How hard is it to be a comedy writer for a political show in this political environment?
It's not laying bricks in the hot sun, but when the situation and the climate is very clownish, it's sort of like what people in vaudeville say, it's a hat on a hat. Sometimes it's almost too much, and you have to find really creative ways to hit it to be original.
Yeah.
Because I was at the Daily Show during the Trump years.
Yeah, but I was reading, so recently Boebert did her whole thing.
Right.
Yeah, and so every single anchor person on television like, she knows how to race across the aisle. And I'm like, okay, I heard that one already. So
yeah, that's what's called a first thought joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the most obvious joke you can make.
And then you can see the plastic anchor people doing it over and just smashing it into the ground.
But so to finish answering your questions, I grew up in St. Paul, Minnesota. I live in New York City now. So I came here.
And you flew all the way from New York to get here? Awesome.
Happily so. And I've been doing workshops with veterans and with caregivers of veterans through Wounded Warriors Project and Writers Guild Initiative since, I think, like 2012.
Wow.
Yeah, so 11 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. In my head, 2012 was like, well, that was like last year, right?
Yeah, right?
So what do you think about Bend or in Oregon? Have you been to Oregon before?
I have been to Portland, Oregon 2 times.
Okay, so
not for a long time.
So you haven't?
No, I've never been to this kind of dramatic central
high
territory.
Desert.
Yeah, high desert. I mean, to me, the desert is very exotic because I grew up, around a lot of lakes and stuff. And it's much more kind of wet and loamy, and this kind of austere beauty of like these prickly plants and shrubs is very exotic and exciting to me.
Oh, it's great. I love it. Yeah, it's just beautiful. And the trees. I mean, it's high desert, but there's a lot of ponderosa pines.
Yeah, I went for a hike the other day down to the Deschutes River, and I saw.
No, we pronounce it Descahooties.
Descahooties.
No.
Okay, my bad.
Don't fall for that. Don't fall for that.
I had a hard time with it. I was like, the Schlingelhauer.
The Schlingelhofer.
Right.
Yeah. Now, Fred, same question to you.
Yeah. So
same set of questions to you.
Same set of questions. I'll see if I can do it as well as Colleen.
I doubt it.
I began my career in the 70s at the National Lampoon. And went on to write for many, many years for Late Night with David Letterman.
You started your career in National Lampoon?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I was yeah. I was a copy editor.
Well, how come you're not funnier?
I ask myself that every morning. I'm just like, you had such promise. I worked for years for Letterman. I wrote for In Living Color and Cheers and Jon Stewart. And then I often say to people, and poor Colleen's going to hear this and she's going to go, oh, really? Being a comedy writer, particularly in the kind of hotbed of late night TV and pop culture, it's a little bit like being a pro athlete, right? And
I can tell. I was going to say something.
Yeah, because of my
The
muscles.
physique, yeah.
Yeah. And at a certain point, there's a generational thing, right? And it's kind of like, well, thank you for coming. Would you like to work in the front office? So for years, I worked at MTV Networks as an executive in producing and creating shows, and then fell
So
in
we
love.
can blame you for all of that.
I would be thrilled to be blamed for everything that MTV's ever done. And then got in love with technology. I worked at Twitter for many, many years, helping people in television understand how to use Twitter. This is 2015. It is well before Elon Musk.
Wow.
Or even before Donald Trump.
Are you looking to get your old job back to explain to Elon how it works?
No. And now I work, it's weird. I work at Microsoft with the AI teams at Microsoft, basically translating people to computers.
So a neo-Luddite.
I'm a and this is my first time to this part of Oregon, and I'm like ready to move.
Yeah, it's amazing. Huh?
And I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, but one of the things that Javi has done here with this kind of R&R part of Save the Brave is it helps reconnect veterans with who they were, right? With a person that they may have lost when they came back into the country.
And you're saying the person that they may have lost is themselves,
and particularly. They're with other groups of other veterans. So there's a community there that they recognize immediately.
Yes.
And then there's you spend your time doing stuff. The common thread of everything we do: whitewater rafting, mountain biking, fly fishing, bungee jumping. These are all activities that get you out of your head and remind you that you can take a leap and jump into something and not master, but be there for it. And a lot of people, not just veterans, a lot of people forget that they can do that, right?
Yeah.
And so this place, to me, I've felt completely reconnected with the guy who could ride on the front of a whitewater raft going down the rapids. I did remind myself I'm the guy who would duck when the real waves came. But
So you didn't ride the bull?
I rode the bull up
You
until...
did ride the bull? You guys were on the same raft?
I rode the bill
he's
up.
talking about next to him. That was me.
Yeah, Brad. So I rode the bull up until there looked to be a lot of really difficult rapids. And I fell back in. I fell back in. And
He
here's
did a trust fall, and I missed him.
But here's the thing about Brad and my fellow boat members. Every one of them, after we had gone through the rapids, said, "Good decision, Fred." And then within 30 seconds, it became, "Let's make fun of Fred for bailing." and I've now been living for about 4 hours with that, and in my own head, I'm going to be living with it probably till Christmas. But this is an amazing place and a perfect place, I think, to have a writer's workshop. I'm trying to bring it back because the exercises we do in the workshops, a lot of them are just like jump in, forget yourself. Play with your memories. Play with the story you want to tell. Here's some tools for telling those stories. Just go for it. Mm-hmm. And that's been the experience here. It's been amazing.
Yeah. One of the things that I think is really cool about writing with veterans is the courage and the discipline that veterans have. Mm-hmm. And also they're very funny.
Yeah.
Very funny.
That surprised you?
No, it doesn't surprise me because, I think you have to have a good sense of comedy and be able to laugh, especially if you've been through difficult things and incredibly scary things or incredibly, upsetting or brutal things, that it's an amazing, coping strategy.
Yeah. Well, definitely want to talk about writing as a coping strategy. I'll give David a chance to.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say also that it's always a dark humor. I mean, it's always a very dark humor that all the other fellow military members, connect in automatically, so it's a common ground.
It's not always
Fred
dark.
had the darkest joke tonight on
What was
the
it?
ref.
I tell the
I
joke.
cannot tell this joke.
You cannot
on
tell this
podcast.
joke.
I really can't tell
Let
this
me
joke.
warm it up. So you guys, there's two fish in this tank, and the one fish turns to the other fish. He's like, "How the fuck do you drive this thing?"
Dad joke. Dads are telling jokes. Yeah. The ride devolved into us telling dad jokes, and then we had to come up with a theme song.
Nice.
Dad jokes. Dads are telling jokes. Yeah.
I think we got a new bumper. every podcast we should stop and have Fred sing that.
Well, you have it on tape.
Yeah, you got it on tape.
We've got it.
Yeah.
So my background's a little different in that I joined the military in 1982 and came in initially as enlisted in a psychological warfare unit, and then went through ROTC and all that kind of stuff, and then so I ended up being in the military for 22 years, and the last tour of duty that I did was commanding a special ops company in Baghdad.
And you were an officer. And
Yeah.
what rank did you get to in the officer?
So I was a major, 04 major. Yep.
And you were commanding how many people?
92 soldiers, and we were
And
spread
that was
all throughout.
during the war.
Yep, during the war, and we were spread all throughout Baghdad. So, and then I retired because it was having a definite impact on my family and especially my boys, who were 6 months and 4 years old when I left. My 6-month-old didn't even know who I was when I came back.
How old was he when you came back?
He was, well, I was gone for 13 months, so whatever that is, a year and a half. That's right. That's right. So, it was, I loved serving, and it was a great experience, but I didn't feel like I could really focus on writing until I got out of the military. I mean, I was trying to write during the military a little bit, but it was really hard to have that focus, a split focus. And so I didn't feel like I could really start writing until after I got out. And mainly in theater, my background's in theater, mainly writing plays. I really felt like when the WGI asked me to participate and be one of the mentors, teachers, to me, I was in Seattle and I felt isolated as a writer because I didn't have a whole community of writers there. And then I met a whole room full. And it was such a validating experience from the get-go. And they welcomed me as both a writer and a veteran. And so now I write novels now. I'm working with an up-and-coming artist on a graphic novel series. And so
What's that artist's name?
Sean Davis.
Yay!
So the fix is in.
The fix is in. So, but luckily I was able to work with Javier when he first started this. Both Sean and I did.
Yeah.
And
I
so
was here.
we came here, and that was about 5 years ago.
Which is insane because all of these houses around this area were not here.
Yep.
And this was on the way far outskirts of Bend.
Wow.
And now the outskirts have come to us. It's really
There's a lot of very densely packed houses all around here.
This is probably the city in Oregon that's growing the most. Yeah.
And he's really changed this R&R program. When we first did it, we did nothing but mountain biking for like 4 or 5 days, and it kicked our tail. I mean, it was just brutal.
Oh my God, that makes my butt hurt even just hearing that.
My legs were cramping. They said, "Hey, Sean, you know how to ride a bike?" I'm like, "Yeah, I rode a bike to school a couple of times." And then they put me on these black diamond routes, and I fell off that bike more ways than I thought possible. And scratches everywhere, torn clothes, and all my legs are cramping up. But we did some riding. So
we did riding. And what Javier really learned was that he needs to have different levels of intensity of exercise, of things. And that's why there's fly fishing now. He's really grown this, and it's really gotten to be an excellent program, and it's all credit due to him. And so the thing is that he's got fly fishing, as Fred had mentioned, fly fishing, whitewater rafting. People can do art walks. They can do hiking. And so all those things are at different levels of intensity.
Yeah.
And so you can also do a mountain bike one day and then do a recovery day of art walk. You know what I mean? So I think that's a great balance of things to do, especially for veterans.
And this was my first time being a participant, and I got to go hiking, rafting, and not really a fishing guy, but I did enjoy having my camera out.
Photography could be a thing too on this, but it's just gonna grow as we
had
go.
a couple of photographers out there this time.
Yeah, we got the drone up in the air. We had a lot of fun. So you guys have been working with veterans 2008, you said 2011?
12.
12? And so how do you think writing helps veterans? Because it's not for me, I wrote a little bit before I was in the Army. And then when I got out, I was having a really big struggle with identity loss. Because I couldn't be Sergeant Davis anymore. Just for me, when I got hit, it broke all of these bones. That's why I have these pretty scars.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Here, through here, in my leg. And like, physically is one thing, but mentally and emotionally, spiritually, like I just can't do this anymore. And I was that person for such a long time. I was in for 12 years. So I like, what the hell do I do? And I went to the VA. They just really didn't help too much with their mental hygiene clinic. But I went to the vet center and I talked to a veteran, a woman who was a nurse during Vietnam. And she said, what'd you do before? And I said, well, I like to write and draw. She's like, do that. And so I started doing it. It helped me. You guys working with vets for such a long time, how does writing help them?
I would just say that, when you go through a traumatic experience, and this is what I experienced as well in terms of that, when you have to take an abstract emotional state and try to put it into words, it helps to, number one, you have to first identify those words, but it helps to take it out of yourself in terms of you have to put it on the page in concrete words that convey whatever you were experiencing. And I find that process to be very therapeutic. In fact, I wrote a play that was done up in Seattle, and we had one scene in which it took me forever. I couldn't sit through it because I would get so upset and find myself crying, and I would walk out of the theater every time. But over the period of rehearsal and then also the productions, I would be able to sit in there longer and longer. And then I did not see it just as my story, but like our story, a story of the unit, a story of the community. And so I find that writing process helps to get it outside. And we've had a number of vets like Robert Paley, who wrote a book about the trauma that he faced in his life. It helped him to get it outside of himself onto a page. And by doing that, you can look at it objectively a little more so, and it doesn't feel like you're the only one that's feeling that.
And that's your experience as a writing teacher, but also your experience as a veteran who writes. Now, you guys seem veterans.
I want to add something to it, David. Two things. One, just for the listeners to understand, here's how we work. We get groups, and by the way, we're going to talk about veterans, but the Writers Guild Initiative, we've done veterans, we've done caregivers of veterans, and then we've expanded out. We did workshops with first responders in New York. We've done workshops with prisoners. We did workshops with the exonerated, so we were people who had been released from death row, right?
Wow.
And so as you said, the military doesn't have a copyright on trauma. What we do is we get groups of people, typically 6-8 people in a group, and there are 2 mentors. And we use prompts that we've been using since 2008. And we've kept these, we've curated them, we keep revising them, we try new stuff, we kind of keep adding to it. But we know that it can get people to start writing. Maybe they're writing about the war and what they went through. Maybe they're trying to do the prompt, which is something different, but it's using their memory or helping to reorder feelings or touch, recapture. Colleen has a great thing where you just kind of tap into your 5 senses. And, as David said, some people have published books, right? And one guy that I worked with published a children's book about his PTSD called Daddy Has a Boo-Boo, right? And it's all about the boo-boo in his head, right?
Yeah.
That said, there are also, I would say, more than that, are people who, as they're trying to work through their trauma, trying to work through what's going on in their life, trying to kind of, the writer John O'Hara once said writing is organizing your obsessions, right? But for these people, writing is organizing the shattered pieces of their lives, right? While they're also actually trying to do that.
Trying to live.
And so the writing becomes a place where it's almost like a gym, right? Like, let's work on these things. Let's work on these things. And then they're able to kind of take the mental processes that they've done And I don't think it's not like, oh, I did that in writing, now I'll go do that in the real world. But there is an effect on them in terms of being able to articulate and be in touch with what their feelings are.
And we don't come into it as therapists. I mean, we don't approach it as we're here to help you through as a therapeutic process. We just are trying to help them do storytelling. And that is an aspect.
Identify different aspects of writing, like something that happens, or a sensory detail, or just the quality of what it is to notice something, whether it's noticing something inside of yourself or something in the world or in another person.
Right.
That said, I mean, are you guys ever surprised at the subjects that the people want to write about?
I had a woman who wanted to write a historical romance novel. I was surprised by that. Yeah. I mean, you kind of expect when veterans come into the room that they're going to want to write about the war.
Yeah, you think. Right.
What happens is you know, and as a civilian who never served, I mean, the vastness of what that experience is to them, what you're surprised by are just the incredibly different points of view and incidents and things that happen to them.
Yeah, how do you deal with that when you're like, okay, I'm going to write about this? And then, so right now at this retreat, you guys are paired up as mentors.
Colleen and Fred.
Yes, sorry. Thanks.
Yeah, for the listeners at home.
David and I are mentors, and we're both military. How do you guys do that? Because a big part of getting your group to write is building trust.
Yeah.
For us, we have a head start because we can tell them, like, we were there with you. What do you guys do?
It's just what David said. And what Colleen said. It's just about the writing. So if you say to somebody, that's interesting, you used this phrase a couple of times, like maybe when you were describing what you were going to write and you used it in your piece, you used this phrase. You haven't defined it yet. Could you tell me what that phrase is? That's just a writer's question. Right. But for them, if they've been referring, I'm going to use the phrase. If they've been using the phrase, Pandora's box had come open in my life. Mm-hmm. And we say to them, if you're going to tell this story, you have to tell us what that means.
Yeah.
So,
or it makes me want to know what that means.
Yeah.
What's interesting, though, is, you know, because I've been working almost exclusively with veterans for the most part, and I find that they don't want to write about veterans. They don't want to write about their veteran experience as much as other things in their life, you know, that have nothing to do with the military, you know. And so now it could be a situation where, and I won't say which veteran has written this, but, you know, where this individual is having some problems with alcohol, and so he had a ankle bracelet monitor on him, and he wrote this comedic thing that happened to him, and it maybe had an aspect of it tied to the military in terms of the repercussions, but it wasn't about the military. And so I find a lot of them, just like in the group that we're working with now, Sean and I, are not actually writing anything about the military. It's stuff that's all over the map, and that's what I kind of like. It's because you find that they all have very different stories to tell that don't have to be necessarily centered around trauma. You know what I mean?
I can talk to that as a participant. I am in Colleen and Fred. Sorry, Fred.
The guy who couldn't ride the bull.
The guy that rode the bull that I missed in a trust.
Oh, and I'm sorry. Riding the bull means to get on the front of the rafter into some rapids or something.
I was going to be like, where did they find all those bulls in the middle of the river? Weird.
So I'm in their group, and I intended to work on my memoir efforts when I was here, which is a lot of military stories. But from their prompts, I was not. I was writing about cars that I used to own and deer hunting as a kid, and that really surprised me. But what really happened, though, is that I turned that around and then I was writing about myself.
Mm-hmm.
But so when I was going through undergrad degree in Portland for writing, and I would write about like stuff that happened to me in Iraq. A lot of the teachers wouldn't even touch it. They're like, "You're not even looking at it. I wrote about the war, so you're not going to look at it. You're just going to give me a grade." To the point where I just did the whole synopsis of the Predator movie using like their names. Like the Dutch did this and did this.
You were Arnold.
Yeah, I was. And I turned it in, and she still gave it back. Like, all right, you're not obviously not even reading. I'm like, how do you guys deal with it when somebody's like, all right, I had this really horrible experience. Some kids died over here and this. And like, then what do you do?
Talk about the writing and talk about what it means to put that stuff down. To, there's that phrase, name it to tame it, right?
Name it to tame it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where like, if you can actually use words to describe an experience, that it doesn't hold as much power over you. It's kind of like what you were saying, like it's existing outside of you, whether it, inside a computer or on a piece of notebook paper, whatever.
Right. Abstract to concrete.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then you just look at the words and not the experience.
Yeah, I don't go.
You're looking at the story. You're looking at the writing, right? So if you say we've got a half hour, try and do a couple of pages. And if they say, I want to write about this horrible thing that happened where, I had a guy, one of the people that I was with, had been in a tent. I believe he was in Afghanistan, and a child walked in with, wearing dynamite and blew themselves up in the tent. And he dealt with it by writing about that, but writing what were essentially country and Western lyrics.
Oh, wow.
And so we would just all read them like, is this a great song? Is this a really good song? And they were very oblique about what had happened to him. Mm-hmm. But it was ways of his getting to the emotion and using kind of like, short poems as ways of just like, let me tell you what these feelings have been.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think we just try to honor people's experiences and because we're not therapists, we're writers. So we talk about the writing because that's the most useful thing I think we can do.
And they can write in whatever style. We're just telling them storytelling techniques, ways to convey a story. But they can do it whether they want to do it as poetry, as they want to do it as a screenplay, if they want to do a memoir, or if they want to do a fiction novel or a children's book. And so we, because of the time constraints that we're kind of sometimes dealing with, we just want to get to the fundamental, elemental part of writing. And that's applicable for all those. You know what I mean? In terms of just specifics and confrontation and climax and all those kind of aspects of writing. And so that's why I love working with, I love finding out what they want to write about. That's what's most intriguing to me. And then they create stories that just surprise the hell out of you, Right. And it's short. Some of them are very short.
Like, wow, we had some, in our group at least, I was really surprised by the quality of some of the writing. It's like, wow.
I'm always amazed.
Yeah.
It makes me psyched to write more myself because I get inspired by people who come in going, oh, I don't know how to write. I can't. I don't know why I'm doing this.
A quote from our group was somebody said, "Me not write pretty."
Right.
Yeah, and
then she wrote a beautiful,
amazing piece.
Yeah, and the same woman said, like, well, I could just talk for an hour. I can talk all I want, but I can never get it on the page. And you're absolutely right. She wrote 3 pages last night, just kind of plunging into it, and it was stunning.
It's great stuff.
The other weird part is, since Colleen and I are veterans of late night shows, but
grizzled veterans.
Yeah, it's on battle song.
Yeah, when you're a professional writer, you end up writing most of the time from your brain, right? Because you're just
where else would you write from?
Your heart.
Yeah.
And so what you get in here is people, and what I think we help coach them to is, don't think about everything you learned in high school and grammar school about what good writing is.
Yeah, it's not English class.
Right.
This is, let's get to your heart. Put your heart on the page. Then we'll start to talk about how did that convey the story.
Yeah.
Right? And that becomes the exercise. That becomes most of what we're doing. And as long as they're still engaged with what is in their heart, and as long as, as you said, they trust us, we can do a lot in a very short time.
Yeah.
And I just want to add one thing
Of course.
as well, if I could. So we also, the WGI has a gala. And what's great about that gala, it's obviously a fundraiser to provide the funding for all these workshops. But that gala, what happens is we solicit from the various people that have been through our workshops, for them usually on a theme, to submit potential short stories that they want to provide to us for use in the gala. And the gala has had some incredible actors. Meryl Streep did it one year, Brian Dennehy, just so many actors who've been willing
always
to
forget
Rosie
my
Perez.
favorite, Mandy Patinkin.
Mandy Patinkin.
Tony Shalhoub,
Yeah.
Brooke Adams.
It's incredible. But what it also does is these writers get to see because a lot of times they attend sometimes, they get to see their work, and it feels like a validation because there's this audience that has a huge appreciation for what they've written, but they have these professional actors that they recognize who are performing it. And it just is an incredible thing for them to experience.
Yeah. Oh, I would like to add one more little detail about these is that we're not like lecturing.
No.
It's very much everyone participates. Everyone is listening to the pieces that people are reading out loud and sharing their perceptions, things they appreciate about what was just read out loud.
It's a positive experience.
Yeah. And that's another way to learn about writing, is that when you're hearing other people's writing out loud, you can go, oh, wow, that thing they did was really cool. Or that was very elegant how they did that.
Yeah, and the other thing is to Colleen's point, what I'm always amazed by, I shouldn't be, and I am, veterans are insanely supportive of each other.
Yes.
And whatever it is, the thing that happens to all of you when you are together serving, we then put 6 or 8 of you who don't know each other in the room, and that snaps to immediately. So
I wouldn't say immediately. First, they make fun of each other.
Right.
Well, I think that's part of it.
Like the Coast Guards.
Or their branch of service.
The Marines eat the crayons. You guys get all those jokes.
But that's part of it, right? That's part of
He's
it.
enlisted. I'm an officer. We got another one.
Right. Yeah. No. Somebody said like, "Oh, the Air Force, is that really a branch?" Right. Right.
Yeah,
But that's part of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's part of it. It's immediately setting some foundation here. Okay, we all understand we are right. Got it. But once they start to read each other, hear each other's writing. At first, it's hard because if they haven't been doing this, right, the first few times you say, "How did everybody feel?" There's just dead silence in the room.
Oh, yeah.
But then they start to know that damn it, they're going to ask us to talk about it, and they're going to think about it, and then by the second hour, 3 or 4, whenever that is, they're jumping in, and because they're also beginning to get to know each other and what they care about.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, oh, that one was hard, or oh, that went easier than I thought it would.
Yeah.
Or I surprised myself.
Well, that's why I think also that this kind of R&R experience is kind of perfect. You do this physical activity during the day, and everyone kind of bonds over that because sometimes it's a bear and you're trying to get through it. It's a great experience, but riding up a mountain is much harder than riding down one. Then at night, we come together and then we let our guard down because we've already shared experience during the day. That was a physical event. And now we're able to do some intellectual events. And so I think it's a great combination for soldiers or military members to because that's the routine we go through in the military a lot as well. So I think it's a great combination.
I wanted to talk to you guys especially about humor because I wrote a book about my experiences in Haiti, and I was scared. I went from like rural Oregon to Haiti. I never even really seen a black person before, and boom, here. And then war. And it was crazy. So we got there, but like we were talking about trauma in the military, which is not always and not all trauma, but there's a lot of stuff that happens. And then people will, or sexual trauma or anything that they live through. For me, I wrote my book and I was really upset about like they sent us to war with not having a clear mission for us to do. And like I got hurt and seemed like they did not think anybody was going to get hurt, And so I was upset a little bit. And I'm writing this and I'm reading it. I'm like, this is just a big gripe session. I mean, for you guys, like, what is the importance of humor and when you're writing about, especially about trauma?
I think it makes it more manageable. I think it is a different way to look at something, right? I mean, if comedy is a way to feel less alone in the world, like a lot of writing also is, then, laughter and comedy and funniness are joyful things that everyone can enjoy. And if you can apply craft to the way that you see the world and bring people that joyful experience of laughter, it can make you feel less alone. It can make them feel less alone. So I think it's a noble thing to aspire to do.
And then, so I would talk about the laugh cry, and it doesn't have to be laugh cry. It could be,
Like laugh cry emoji?
No,
That's Sean's other podcast, Emoji Talk.
Emoji Talk.
Which is
What
really
I love
good.
about emojis is that they were created in feudal Japan to teach people who don't know how to read about religion, and now we use them as like farts
Icons.
and shit.
Yeah.
It's like, that's hilarious to me.
Like even the turd?
Yeah, no.
Oh.
Anyway.
Like
That's ice cream.
but hey, Prometheus gave us fire, and now we give it away at 7-Eleven, so whatever.
Right.
But for me, like, humor was more like that release valve of
Sure.
stress. You know, you build up the stress and build up the stress, and then you hit it, and all right, now I can reset the pressure valve, and I can do it again. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's interesting to me is as Colleen said, these vets are really funny and they have a really dark sense of humor and they've been through hell. They'll be writing and some of them are deliberately fun, like they're trying to be funny, right? And some of them are naturally funny. Mm-hmm. What always is interesting to me and where I think Colleen and I are kind of useful is because we do this professionally, and very often people will write something that somebody said or something happened, and you'll listen to people's reactions, and then I will just go. That's exactly what I'll say. How did that? Oh, I know.
Do you get that a lot? You put your phone to ask you. You say that to you?
No,
so you
if I say seriously, it wakes up Siri. But
I'm with you, Siri. I don't know anything he's saying either.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I'll just say, that's really funny, and very often it'll be you think, because now you've given them permission. You go go ahead. You can look at this from a completely different point of view. Yeah. That this thing happened. And this guy said
funny.
this. Huh?
It's okay to be funny.
Let it be funny. Yeah. Let it be light. And let it be. And more often than not, is it like it's dark, or very often what you hear is just absurd.
Yeah.
Right. Which is just the absurd situation of being sent to Haiti, not understanding the mission. Oh, was my mission to just allow Haitians to touch my hair? Yeah. Is that the goodwill gesture? It's a goodwill mission.
And hearts and minds.
Because no country's ever declared war against a country where they know how to touch each other's hair. and if we could just touch each other's hair, damn it.
Problem solved.
Oh, Lord.
Fred, what I love about, so I was talking to people we got Fred, he's in your writing group. He's like, he wrote for Living Color. Like, you did Letterman, he does other things. Like, no, Living Color is the thing that they really. So what did you write? What big thing did you write?
I did a lot of
Fire Marshal Bill?
I did a lot of Men in Film. Men in Film, which was Damon and Damon Wayans and David Allen Greer as two wildly flamboyant men, gay men who were reviewing movies, and
the best.
And their entire point of view was from an ultra gay point of view. And the great thing about Damon and David Allen Greer, most of the people on In Living Color were improvisers, and they would view the script as a blueprint.
Right.
But those guys, if you wrote a good script, would do the script,
and they could just riff off,
and they could riff off it. And I loved
No, you're talking. They actually did the script.
They did the script.
Yeah.
If they liked it, they really did it. And there was nobody better playing two. Remember David Allen Greer? He had lipstick, and then he had this tiny little cowboy hat that he wore on the side of his head. And I didn't invent it. My friend Matt Wickline invented it. He wrote one, and I think I wrote 7 or 8 of them, including the Men in Film Festival, where we filmed 4 like clips of films that they love, and the only one I remember, they were all genres that they could then take and ultra-gay them. The only one I remember was I wrote one. The film was a boxing movie called Kid Fist. And it was the gayest boxing movie you've ever seen. It was like in the ring, and it was that thing like, you got to go out there and really just thrust at him. Anyway.
Have you seen any of the Rockies, though? Honestly.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point.
With the 80s homoerotic.
That's the whole point. Yeah,
You
but
mentioned Predator earlier.
Oh, that's
You've got
Because
scenes
those scripts are so delightful. Like they have such a wonderful rhythm to it. You know, because they'll be like hated it.
Yeah, and then they would snap their fingers.
Right.
That's what I was going to ask you. Did you?
No, that was them. That's all them.
In a circle?
No, that's all them.
Z-formation?
That is all them. And that was just, And there's nothing more fun than watching those 2 actors before the thing was going to be filmed, just walking around in those costumes.
Well, I know that I got the signal at dinner's ready, and we've been holding you guys here without any food.
I do want to break in, and we can edit out you trying to wind us up. So I purposely didn't mention the Writers Guild and the writing classes I've been participating in earlier, because to me that's been the most valuable part of this entire retreat. And I've been really discouraged on my own writing lately, but this actually has been an inspiration. I'm very excited to get back and get back into my project.
I'm really happy to hear that.
That's really great.
I'm glad.
I'll send you my email.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we'll do it.
He was the last guy standing last night. Everybody else left. And he came out for the writing group. Yes.
Yeah, no,
there was 2 of us.
I know this is going to sound like, oh, you too. I'm trying not to sound smarmy, but
Too late.
you're a national treasure, Brad. I just want to tell you. No,
you get the Z snaps with the circle from the guy.
No, it's the fact you guys come. You guys come to the. I mean, I don't know about you, but like the first day, we, because of logistics and everything, we started a little late. We're sitting here in this room. There's like 1 person or 2 people, and I thought for sure we're done.
Yeah.
Like people signed up. They're not going to ever want to do this. The fact that you guys do it, it just makes it all great for us.
Yeah.
And you guys are going to come back?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
If they'll have us.
So when we close up, do you guys have projects that you're working on now that'll make us look cool to have you guys on our podcast? Or no?
Go for it.
I am writing a pilot called Mary Jean, and it's based on a real life woman named Sarah Jane Olson, who was a terrorist in the 70s. She was in the Symbionese Liberation Army, and then she hid under like a fake identity for like 22 years until she was arrested by the FBI in 99. So I'm writing a very dark comedy inspired by her real story.
Oh, that sounds great. And that's what you were reading the other day? I was listening to some of it.
No, I was reading another person in my writing group. It was his script, but yes. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've been working for the past year and a half in corporate America, and
Doing AI stuff.
And but more importantly, like I've never worked for a company this big. It's got 86,000 employees around the world.
Whoa.
Wow.
And everything from Zoom calls to memos to your management review to everything else. It's just wildly, as Elvis Costello once wrote, I used to be disgusted, now I try to be amused. It's incredibly amusing. And I was talking with one of the Writers Guild Initiative guys who's a playwright, and I was just describing what happens in the first 5 minutes of a Zoom call. It's like, well, could you ping her? Is she in? Did Rachel accept? And yeah, you just cringe. And he said, we have to write this.
I am not a cat.
And he said, you have to write this. And the more I kind of started digging into it, the more I realized nobody's writing about this life that millions of people live every day. So I'm writing a play about working in a enormously large corporation and what it does to you.
That's great. It's good, David.
I just had a play called The Nude that just won the National Latino Theater Festival.
Yeah.
Yay!
Finally got an award winner. What do we even spend our time with these jokers?
Hey.
So they're going to be doing, the Arizona Theater Company is going to be doing a stage reading of it and another play as well in June, both in Phoenix and in Tucson. So that's what's coming up on the near horizon.
Great.
That's great.
Sweet.
All right. Did I miss anything?
Thank you for having us.
Thank you guys
thanks
so
for
much.
Sean, you're a national treasure. I want to say your work, I've been a big admirer, and particularly of your other podcast, Emoji Talk.
The Emoji Talk. You found it. I went under a different name.
Your expose of the fried shrimp emoji was one for the ages.
I think you got a Pulitzer.
Yeah, well, you have to do the
At least a
deveiner
Peabody.
emoji. All right, so Chef Tony's out there. He came up from LA to cook for us, and that food's been amazing, right?
Oh, so good.
Incredible. So let's go get some food.
All right.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Together with Veterans Northwest Oregon or the Oregon Firearm Safety Coalition or the Department of Veterans Affairs. You can find us at roguecell.vet or facebook.com/groups/roguecell. If you or a loved one is experiencing thoughts of suicide, help is available. Please call 988 and press 1 for veterans. This line is answered 24/7, so there is always someone to help. And with help comes hope, and hope saves lives. The second of the 503rd Rogue Cell is produced by Brad Peitzig with support from Together with Veterans and is hosted by Sean Davis. Music provided by Michael Dean Dameron. Thank you for joining us.
Dad joke. Dads are telling jokes. Yeah.